In class 11, business studies, we already started chapter 7 according to new pattern, and in NCERT that is chapter 8, business finance. Already I explained you about the different sources of business finance, and today I am going to give the detail about the different sources of business finance. So here I am going to tell you about, see, we already completed this table. I am sure you must be able to see that different sources of funds now. On the basis of period, see my dear children, on the basis of period, there are three types of fixed capital. Or there are three types of capital requirement. So on the basis of time period, generally if we want to invest, we see the time period first of all. So on the basis of period, there are three categories: long term, medium term, short term. Okay, so long term finance sources means the funds raised for a long time period, minimum 5, maximum no limit. It is used for investment in fixed assets which required for permanent needs of the business. Usually long-term finance is raised from shareholders, debenture holders, financial institutions, retained earnings, etc. So my dear children, if you want to start a new business, if and they want your suggestion, if someone is required your suggestion and they want to start a new business for long time period, generally according to accounting concept also. So when that is going for long time period, the requirement of fixed capital is high. Okay, so it refers to the funds raised for a long time period, investment in fixed asset. If that is manufacturing company, producing or industrial sector, they require more fixed assets, so their long-term finance requirement will be high. And if that is trading or service sector, they require less fixed capital. Okay, and that long term, less long term, generally they require for medium term. Okay, now medium term, it is used for modernization and expansion of business. Okay, usually it is raised for a period of 1 to 5 years. Note down this is the time period, 1 to 5 years. And it is for minimum 5 years, maximum no limit. It is 1 to 5 years. Generally, it is based on the duration now. So that's why we can say according to duration, according to the time period. Now, short-term finance, if you require fund up to 1 year only. If a businessman requires fund for working capital only, then it is the period of less than 1 year. Less than 1 year means it is used for meeting the short-term needs, working capital requirement, purchase of material, payment of wages and salaries, rent, etc. Raw material, if they want to purchase, they can buy, take the loan for short term up to 1 year. So whenever a person goes to banks, if bank says, tell us the duration for the loan which you want. If you are saying that I want loan up to 1 year only, then it is short. And if you say, or if a person says that I can repay the loan within 5 years, then it is medium term. And long term, if the person is saying that I am unable to repay it Up to 5 years. After that, I'll pay in installments. In that way, generally it is long term. But the requirement is different. See, the long term requirement is for fixed asset, permanent needs. Medium term for expansion or for some machine modernization. But short-term finance is generally for raw material, for payment of wages, salaries, rent, etc., maintenance charges. So these requirements are of short term, up to 1 year. Now come on the basis of ownership. Ownership means own fund, owner's fund. It is the amount of capital contributed by the owners, partners, or the shareholders, as the case may be. Issue of shares, retained earnings are the two important sources of the company funds. See, owners fund, own fund, shares are the owners fund, retained earning, own surplus, reserves, own savings. Retained earnings means retained earnings means accumulated profits of the businessman. These are the two important sources of business finance. So my dear children, see, just now I explained you on the basis of period, that is 3. What are the 3? Long term, medium term, short term. Okay? Long term, medium term, short term. On the basis of period. And on the basis of ownership, that is on 2 types. Own fund, borrowed. Okay? Own fund means shares, retained earnings, accumulated profits, savings, reserves and surplus are the two important sources. Now features. Owners' funds are risk because all the risk is on the shoulders of the owner. It is a permanent source. How we can say it is a permanent source? Because there is no liability to return it because that is own capital. If you are going to start the business with your own retained earning, with your own shareholders, then there is no need to repay it. Whenever required, then that's why it is a permanent source and no security. See, that new security means is different in accounting term. That is different in accounting term. Wait, I am going to tell you how it is. Just now, no security is required. That is the point. No security required means no security is required. Here security means guarantee, mortgage, hypothecation. See, security means not the outer security guard. No, that is not the term. On that day, one child told me about that in the previous class also. See, security means guarantee papers. When you go to the bank always requires some guarantee paper, security, mortgage, hypothecation. But in the owner's fund, no need to get the guarantee paper, mortgage, hypothecation, no need to keep the security papers or security anything. So no security is required. Then it provides the right to manage and right to control the business. What does it mean? It means the owners have right to manage their business. They have full control over the business because the capital is owned. Okay, so they control the business. So what are the owners fund? Ownership capital means retained earning, issue of shares, retained earning means own profits and own surplus. And reserves and surplus you can invest in the business to start the business. You can use your retained earnings of the previous one, savings also. Okay, now that is the permanent source. Major point you can keep in mind. Why permanent source? No need to repay. It's your own capital, so there is no need to repay. And no security, guarantee, mortgage, hypothecation is required. No need to keep that reserves and surplus for that, or to guarantee paper, or to give the bank anything. Right to manage. If you are investing your capital, you have right, you have control over the business. Now next is borrowed fund. Borrowed fund means borrow from outsiders. If you are going to start the business, if you are borrowing finance from outsiders, that is borrowed fund. Though two sources are there on the basis of ownership. Own fund, borrowed fund. So that is borrowed fund. Borrowed fund raised through loans or borrowings. It may be from the debenture holders or from public deposits or financial institutions, commercial banks, etc. Okay. Features of borrowed fund are raised for a fixed time period. You are raising that fund for a fixed time period because after that time period you have to return it. That's why time period is fixed. Okay, am I audible? Somebody, am I audible? So, raised for a fixed time period because after that fixed time period we have to return it. And then fixed interest rate to be paid. You are borrowing from someone. You have to pay the interest. If you are borrowing from the banks, see, if you are taking loans from financial institution or commercial banks, what is the responsibility of the organization? To repay it on a fixed period, fixed interest to be paid, even if there is loss. This is the drawback of borrowed funds. Your firm is having losses, still you have to pay to it. Then it is charge on asset. Charge on asset means there is the guarantee you have to give. Whenever a person goes to the bank for taking loan, banks always give some guarantee, hypothecation, mortgage, and there is charge on asset. Charge on asset means whenever a person is unable to repay the loan, bank can take the guarantee interest, guarantee asset. No sharing of control in business. See, the borrowed fund holders are not to be called in the meetings of the company. They don't have voting rights. They cannot attend the meetings of the company. So they don't have power to control the management. Okay, do you understand that the difference between own fund and borrowed fund on this way? It is a temporary source, it is a permanent source. It is for a fixed time period, it is for permanent. No interest liability, there is interest liability. They can share and control the business, they don't have power to share or control the business. No guarantee is required, guarantee is required. Okay, clear? Any doubt? Now next is internal sources. and external sources on the basis of generation, from where this source generated. Internal means within the organization, like equity shares, disposing of surplus stock, retained earning. If you are using the sources of finance from within the organization, which is permanent, no security is required, no need to repay it. Okay, you have right to manage and control the business. That's why it is known as internal. Now, external means if you are taking loans from outside the business, bank loan, public deposits, loan from financial institutions, that is external source. So, my dear children, be careful that internal source means permanent source. No need to repay it, no need to pay the interest on it. And external sources are those sources which are raised outside the business and these sources to be repaid. Now, first, different sources. Note down, please. Different sources. First is retained earning or flowing back of profits. This is internal source, own source. Clear? Part of the profit is transferred to the reserve every year. See, generally the organization don't withdraw the whole profits every year. They generally keep some part of profit in general reserve and specific reserve. You will learn about that in accounts also. And it can be retained or reinvested in the business for its modernization, expansion, etc. So this is known as retained earnings, accumulated profits, own savings, undistributed profits, reserves and surplus, or we can say flowing back of profits. Flowing back of profits means own profits reinvested in the business. Now, what are the merits? It is more dependable than external sources. No dividend or interest is to be paid because this is own source, internal source. So, no need to pay the interest and dividend. No cost of raising such funds, no paperwork. You are investing your own profits. Then no sharing of ownership and control. No need to call outsiders. Your ownership will be there because you are investing your own earnings. No security, guarantee, mortgage, hypothecation is required. You are investing your own capital. It makes companies financially strong. Yes. It makes companies financially strong because they are using their own reserves. They are investing, reinvesting their own profits. They are not taking loans. They are not taking any outsider's help. They are not giving anything for guarantee. So generally that is beneficial for the every organization if they invest their own profits, and that is termed as reinvestment of undistributed profits. But there are some limitations. It may result in overcapitalization. If the company is reinvesting their own profits and they are not doing drawings or they are not distributing profits, then it may be a reason of overcapitalization. Overcapitalization means investment more than requirement. It creates dissatisfaction among the shareholders. See, if the company is not giving dividend part of profit, it creates dissatisfaction. Then not dependable on in the year of inadequate
Ma'am, your voice is not coming.
So our today's topic is, now it is audible? It is on. See, today's topic is, on the basis of period, three types are there: long term, medium term, and short term. On the basis of ownership, own fund, borrowed fund, and on the basis of generation, there are two types: external and internal. So our today's topic is, on the basis of period, there will be three sources of finance: long term, medium term, and short term. More than 5 years, long term; 1 to 5 years, medium term; up to 1 year, that is short term. Then on the basis of ownership, that is own fund, borrowed fund. Okay, clear? Then on the basis of generation, external sources and internal sources. External means from outside the organization, internal means from within the organization. These are the basis of classification. Now different types of sources are available. First source is retained earning or flowing back of profits. Retained earning means generally a part of the profit is transferred to the reserve and company reinvested there. So we were on that topic. Now next is trade credits. Trade credits is the credit extended by one trader to another for the purchase of goods and services. This is a common finance facility available to the businessman, but short term. Why short term? Because when we purchase goods on credit from someone, then we have to repay it. Then the supplier will give us on the credit again. So trade credit means purchase the goods on credit, but the main point is that is available for short time. Generally maximum 3 months, not more than it. You can purchase the goods on credit. This is a convenient source, readily available, increase the sales volume, helps in maintaining higher inventory level. You can buy the goods and maintain the stock, and no charge on the asset. No paperwork, no need to pay the interest. Generally, supplier goods on that basis only, that you will pay goods, then he will supply you the goods again. But chances of over trading, bulk trading means quantity will be more. So that is the problem there. Then limited funds can only be generated. No one can give you the goods on credit in crores. Generally, that is the limited amount. And that if you will not pay it on time, the person will not give you goods on credit again, then trade credits will not be possible. And higher cost, because generally whenever supplier supply the goods on credit, he always charge high price, and he will not going to give you cash discount which you have learned in accounts. So that is the problem arises. So trade credit means the loans or the not in cash. Be careful. That is the credit extended by one trader to another for the purchase of goods and services. Okay, so in that case, whenever he supply the goods on credit, that is for short time period. Okay, but it is a convenient source. Means when you want to buy, when a businessman wants to buy the goods on credit, he can approach, readily available, and that will increase his sales volume also. Higher inventory level can also be maintained. We can buy in quantity, and there is no problem. He will not take your assets, but limited funds can be generated. I am sure you must be able to understand today's topic.